Okay, hi everybody, and welcome to today's event. I'm Jason Gumpert from msdynamicsworld.com, and we are here today for a session all about AX mobility frameworks, designing a framework that is customizable and highly secure. Our guests today, our presenters, are from AXMentor. They are Andrew Doherty, Amir Koshniati, and Michael Oakes. It's great to have them with us. And as we get started, I just want to remind folks we do aim to keep this an interactive event. We have a couple poll questions coming up to look out for, and we also invite your questions. You can enter them at any point using the Q&A panel that you should see to the right of the main presentation area. I know the AXMentor team will be saving time for those questions at the end of the session. So without any further delay, I'm going to hand things off to Amir Koshniati to get us started.
Thanks a lot, Jason, and thank you for having us. We're very excited to kick off this topic, and as Jason mentioned, we'd like to keep this very interactive, so if you do have a question during the course of the webcast, feel free to just enter them in, and we'll be able to adjust the presentation and address them at the tail end as well. So just kicking off this presentation on designing a Dynamics AX mobility framework that is customizable and highly secure. Just a quick introduction to who we are. My name is Amir Koshniati. I'm the marketing and sales lead over at AXMentor. Joined here today with Michael Oakes, who is our director of architecture and development, and we'll be going over the AX workflow concepts today. And then Andrew Doherty, who is our technical specialist and who will be deep diving the AXAdmin app. Just so we can assess a little bit about what we've seen from the market around mobility and how we can really classify our attendees on what they may be interested in around mobility, we've taken into consideration some market studies, and basically we've assessed that through Ericsson's report, 6.1 billion smartphone users globally are estimated by 2020. In addition to that, and we've had Flurry study come back to us with 90% of time is really spent on applications remotely rather than in comparison to desktop or mobile web access. So we have a couple questions built in here that basically are going to bucket a lot of the topics that we're going to be deep diving into. And thank you, Jason, for loading up the poll questions. So we'll assess really what your top mobility requirements are around either approvals, expenses, timesheets, or IT administration, and really what your time frame is if you are looking to implement a mobility solution. So we'll give you guys about 10 to 15 seconds to fill out those poll questions before we close out the poll. You guys can do so right now. Jason, if you can let me know as the results are coming in.
All right, so yeah, we do have some results coming in. I'll give it maybe another 5 seconds or 10 seconds here for people to get those completed. I can just tell you that the top requirements right now are approvals and, well, other's actually the biggest one, and then there's some for approvals as well. And time frame, people are looking at primarily 12 to 18 months. That's the most common result so far.
Okay, great. And for the people that selected other, it would be great if you guys can actually go into the questions pane and type in really what those requirements are that may not have been listed here, and we can see if we can either address them during the course of the webcast within the demo, or if we can talk to some of the points at the end. And I see the poll has ended, so what we can do is go ahead and jump into the agenda for today. So quickly, we're going to give an introduction to who AXMentor is, and then get into really the topics that you guys are here to see around mobility options currently in the marketplace and what some limitations we have seen and you may have seen with what sits currently in the infrastructure for 2009 and 2012. We'll go into the workflow demo and touch on some of the points that were selected in the poll items around approvals and some other related framework options, and then we'll go into AXAdmin demo, which is more of a manager's tool for having remote access and maintaining AOS servers, running batch jobs, and so on. So you'll be able to see that in action. Give you a quick overview of a case study, we've had with the client and go over some partner program incentives for some of the partners I see on the call today, and open it up for a town hall with questions and answers. So a quick overview on who we are as AXMentor. We have 250 plus years of collective AX and CRM experience. We are a member of the TAP program, an early adopter program. We were among the first to run AX7 and then now ring in Dynamics 365. We, on a daily basis, support over 10,000 plus AX and CRM users. We have 2,500 hours to date of experience with 365. A lot of marketing automation campaigns run through Click Dimensions in our internal CRM, over 150 plus a year. Broad range of clients that span the industries of manufacturing, distribution, professional services, and public sector. Global clients, we handle over 12 billion in revenue annually. We have global offices headquartered in San Diego, California, and spanning all the way out across the Atlantic to the UK and Denmark. We support over 20 plus countries to date. We have 3 of our own IPs around AX, one of which we'll be diving into today around mobility, both on the workflow side and the application management side. And then we have a product address verification validation solution we've partnered with Experian with, and a public sector module that acts as a budget analyzer. Just a quick overview of some of our competencies. As mentioned, we have a very prominent AX and CRM support desk. We do a plethora of upgrades and road mapping for our clients, especially coming in from legacy versions or even the most recent versions of AX, whether it's 2009 or 2012 on-prem, moving to 365. A lot of deployment accelerations, health checks, proactive, reactive support spanning through managed services. We're helping a lot of our clients with licensing. We know that there's a lot of need around understanding what the model is and what the upgrade path is around that. And as mentioned, a lot around applications, Power Apps, Flow, and mobility. As mentioned, we have a pretty horizontal focus around manufacturing, distribution, professional services, and public sector. And here is a good snapshot of some of our prominent clients with a lot of recognizable names that you might be able to see. With Red Digital, we have Isle of Man Government, LA Up, Zern, Keystone RV. And before I hand it over to Andrew, just really wanted to talk a little bit around business value. We've broken the topics really to 2 facets. One is the C-level, director, VP, manager level persona, and this is really the points that we've gathered with some of our clients when building this product and how it may be beneficial for you. So some of these points really touch upon fast and very consistent approvals on the go, insights into critical and very time-sensitive approvals that may be coming into a weekend and you may be out of the office, but you need to get something approved rather than wait through the weekend and have that carry over. So we have that built into the product. It's robust and scalable, so your investments are really protected. The manager-focused aspect of it really saves the time and effort. And it gives really good early insights into performance issues and high-risk scenarios that Andrew's going to touch upon over the AXAdmin demo. So from a decision-maker standpoint, we've covered those points, and you'll see that in action today. And then jumping into the next persona, it's really a developer's dream framework. And the reason why we say that is, as mentioned, it's scalable and it's flexible to build off of. Custom workflows are going to be able to be carried out through the approvals capabilities, and you can build upon that. And Michael will showcase that very shortly. It's secure and compliant from a standpoint of you can feel good from the token authentication that your AX data is going to be protected. We'll go over that concept. It automates processes and settings seamlessly, and it has very customizable dashboards and views to your your liking. So we'll touch on that point as well. So from a developer standpoint, we've kept that into consideration, and the business value is there for that persona. And with that, I'll pass it over to Andrew, and he can discuss a little bit about what currently sits in the market around mobility.
Thanks, Amir. Hey, everybody. Andrew here. So what mobility options exist right out of the box for Microsoft? Well, Microsoft offers Enterprise Portal, and for anyone that's used that dinosaur, just know that it's deprecated going into Dynamics 365 for operations or CRM or all that, because now AX is in the browser. So Enterprise Portal existed as a SharePoint web portal to access your enterprise data, like from a scanning device and all the various ways people are used to Enterprise Portal. Downside there, obviously, as I said, deprecated, and you still had to sort of connect to your enterprise network in order just to sign in to Enterprise Portal. Then we have Microsoft Companion Apps. So for people who've never heard of these, Microsoft, when they were first announcing their sort of push towards mobility, they created these Windows 8 store apps, which could be loaded on like a Windows phone for anyone who might have a Windows phone or worked at Microsoft and had a Windows phone. Again, downsides there, they were built for Windows 8. We're now on Windows 10. It's not flexible to AX customization, so you can only really use the timesheet, expense, approvals, or workflow shop applications for just what Microsoft built into AX. And then finally, Microsoft produced their own mobile app that, once again, is not flexible to any customizations you might have made to your own AX. And many of these key features of AX, people have their own, clients have all sorts of modifications to those systems. And this version of the app, which was for the iOS and Android store, does not handle approvals. It's just time entry and expense management. And going on to that, so we have two demos we want to get to, right to the meat of the content. We have AXWorkflow, which my colleague Mike will demonstrate in a little bit, which is essentially our approval app for you to manage your approval workflows. And then following that will be AXAdmin, which is sort of how you manage system health and IT management. And with that, I'll hand it off to Michael to start the demo for AXWorkflow.
Thanks, everybody. Hope you can hear me okay. Let's get straight into workflow. So we've built a workflow app that I'm going to give you a demo of, which is based on the approvals. In AX, if you've used approval, you'll know that most modules have an approval workflow, whether it's purchase orders, purchase order requisitions, timesheet, expenses. And so the app that we've created supports any workflow, any approval in AX, whether it's a standard one or whether it's a custom one that you created. So I'm just going to give you a quick demo. In this case here, what I'm going to demo is a purchase order requisition. You might have an approval for either purchase orders or purchase order requisitions. In this case here, I'm just going to give you a quick demo of how the app works. So I've got a purchase order requisition here, and I'm going to just go in and ask for this to be approved. If I can spell. Now what's going to happen in standard Microsoft AX, this is going to be submitted to the workflow engine, and you're going to get a work item. Unfortunately, that's only going to be visible in either AX or the EP. So the batch engine is going to run, and this is where our mobile framework kicks in. So I'm going to get a push notification directly from AX to my iPhone telling me that I need to approve this. Let's see if I can. Let's kick this. Let's go. This will log in. Okay, we're going to switch to another device. And we're going to see if we can do this. So let's see what's going on here. hopefully this will do this. I think we may have lost connection on our iPhone. So we're just going to switch to another iPhone here that we have ready. Okay. Technology for you. There we go. So let's see if we can do this.
Hey, Michael, your audio is pretty low. Can you either get the mic closer or just kind of raise your voice a little bit?
Let's see if we can do this now. And this is a gremlin. This was working a few seconds ago. Let's try again. Let's see, we have lost connection to our iPhone. So let's see what's going on here. While we're doing that, do you want to go to the admin one, and I'll troubleshoot why this one is not working.
So Michael, we're really kind of we've almost lost your audio completely at this point. I don't know if you want to maybe hand it off to Andrew.
For the moment, we'll skip ahead to the AXAdmin app, because for some reason the workflow app decided to not open. But no problem. I'll see if we can get that fixed. We'll just shift around the order here. Okay, hopefully everyone can see the screen. So we're just shifting around the order a bit. So for the AXAdmin application, so what this is a way to manage your system health. And if I show the screen, the app screen here. So the whole idea is, and demonstrating the security model here, that is you can either log in with your normal AX login credentials and enter your password every time, or you can use Touch ID since we support the latest iOS device. Here, sign in. So this is connecting to the stack here, which goes to an Azure endpoint, which then connects to a middle tier connector living on your corporate network, which then passes the information to your AX instance. And the whole idea is, we don't want to directly expose, your business data and sensitive, business data with going directly to an exposed endpoint on your corporate network. This way we maintain that still being able to access and push and pull data to your corporate network without having to directly expose your corporate network to the outside world. And the first screen you'll see here is the AOS dashboard screen. And the flow that we've designed for these kind of applications is we wanted to make sure the users got all the important information that they needed as quickly as possible and as intuitively as they could. So you see here, I can easily go from what AOSs I have running, how many online users there are, what my license count is, how many actual users are licensed on this instance. I can quickly switch to batch jobs that are running, and I'll go over the specifics of each of these screens. Next, we have Windows services, so I can manage what AOSs on different machines are running, say a batch AOS, reporting service that might be running, or other Windows services that are appearing that might be important to how I handle AX. All that can be handled from this dashboard. View various notifications, important notifications from within AX. So for anyone who knows that little bell in AX that shows various alerts in the system or across various forms like database log, AIFQ manager, SQL trace log, email sending status, workflow history, system exceptions. We gather all these different forms in AX into one dashboard view to give the user sort of a snapshot of all the various notifications in their system. Then we've got users, so we can manage who's online, who's disabled, how many users are in the system. And finally, some performance tuning and data management. So we have a couple, the database log and SQL trace log. For anyone who's done this kind of tracing before in AX, you might know that the database log and SQL trace log, when they're turned on, they can fill up with quite a lot of records. From this screen, you can actually clear these logs, and I'll demonstrate that in a little bit. But to go back to the AOS dashboard, and also you can see here, I have access to every screen in the app just from clicking on the menu button there. But as I said before, we want to make the process here as intuitive as possible. So for instance, if I wanted to check how many AOSs I have that are alive right now, I can click on the AOS dashboard, either draining or alive. I see that I have one AOS running. If I had 2, 3, 4, 5 AOSs that were all alive, they would show up here. If I had any draining AOSs, so for instance, if I needed to take down an AOS for maintenance and I wanted to say, you know, I don't want this AOS to accept any new clients to log in, I would just tap the Accept New Clients button. It would set that AOS into draining. I can see what online users are on that AOS. And from here, I can, you know, see all the various worker threads. For instance, this particular app doesn't actually log in to this AOS instance as a user. It logs on as a worker thread. And I can kill those worker threads from here if I want to. Again, if the scenario is I'm doing maintenance on the AOS and I want to start kicking out users, I can do that right from this screen. And as I mentioned before, I can view what users are licensed in this AOS. And jumping to now the batch jobs. So critical, process here for the admin app, batch jobs. So a scenario might be, you have to process your paychecks for your payroll for your company, and you have a batch job that handles your payroll. And for this app in AX, if say you have 1,000 workers in your company and 2 checks didn't go out to the bank to your employees, the batch job might have successfully completed. It would be in either waiting if this is a concurrent or withholding if this is a recurring batch job. But if 2 batch jobs failed, you might not know that anything went wrong until your employees call you saying they weren't paid for the month or the week, and you have to go through that whole process. It could take days before they realize that. There's no good process unless you turn on alerts in your AX instance to let you know. That might send you an email. There's no good process in AX that tells you that an error happened within a batch job unless a catastrophic error happened and the whole batch job was an error. So if I demonstrate that, so this is an example of a batch job that completely in error status, and I can view, again, so from the dashboard view, I can see, all right, so in the history of that batch job running, there are 3 errors and 2 errors during the specific tasks of that given batch job. So if I click on the error, I can view, okay, here's 3 jobs that ran. Let's look at this particular job. You notice that we can even label which ones have errors in them. So if I filter at the very bottom there, has error. So if I have 100 batch jobs running, some of them have errors. I don't want a whole list of batch jobs there that aren't useful to me. I want to just see, what are the errors in the batch jobs in the system, filter to the ones that have errors. If not, go back to all, and then I can see which ones have the error. Here in the tasks, once again, the dot tells me, okay, this batch job task had a specific error, and just like in AX, how you would press the little button on the form in the batch job screen, which opens the log, so info log window. This gives you the full log message of AX. Right now, there's not a whole, this is more just read-only in terms of this presents you information. You'd have to log into AX to address if it was a specific area in AX. But, if you're away from your computer, you're on vacation or whatever, as I said, the payroll batch job wasn't working properly, at least this gives you an indication of who you should call to fix the problem as fast as possible when it happens. And from here, I can view the batch job history. Again, I can notice there were errors in the history that ran. So if this is a recurring batch job, I can see, okay, well, each time it ran, multiple errors happened. So this is not just a one-time error. And I can change the status of a batch job. So if this was an in-error batch job, I can put it back to withholding or waiting if I want it to run again at the next time when its recurrence is supposed to happen. And that status is based off of the same statuses that you're allowed to pick within AX. So I cannot, change a withholding batch job to anything but what it allows you to change it to within AX. Moving on to services now, if batch jobs are clear what that's happening there. So for services, we added a feature to the app that's actually not inside AX. And the idea is that most AX instances rely on certain Windows services to do things. I mean, the AOS itself, for people that are familiar with the application object server, is handling all the business logic of AX, or the reporting server Windows service, which is handling your SSRS reports, or any custom third-party Windows services that you might have running data migrations to AX. You might want to track, are those services running? It's important for you to know what services are currently running for your AX instance. And so from here, I can monitor, from the dashboard, how many are running, how many are stopped. If they're paused, that's what other tells you. You'll notice the word unknown there. That generally means that I've hooked into different servers than the AOS is connected to, and the app doesn't have the permission required to actually see what the status is on those other servers. The idea is that you can enter in all sorts of other computers into our sort of AX setup form that lets you add these services to the app. But if the app doesn't have the correct permissions to access those other servers, then you can't find out the status of those particular Windows services. But if those computers do have access, then you would see just the same as here, running and stopped the Windows services. And so from here, I can tell, I have my AOS is running, I have another AOS here, and then I have the reporting server. And, you would never want to, from the app, stop the AOS that the app is connected to, because obviously the app stops functioning at that point. In fact, it's probably best not to include that AOS even in the app. And about that, all the services that you see showing up in the app, they're configurable from AX. So we've added sort of custom workflow to AX to allow you to enter in what services and who has access to be able to start and stop those services from AX. So for instance, you notice I cannot start and stop this AOS because I've not given myself permission in AX to be able to start and stop this AOS. I can see that it's running. I can see some description about this Windows service. And to compare that, for the reporting server, I can start and stop this service right from the app. So if I say stopping service, so now on this particular AOS, if I wanted to run an SSRS report, it wouldn't work. And so business scenario there, maybe your business consultants or users are trying to run reports, they're running very slowly or not running at all, and a common dev task that you'll assign or ask one of your IT people to do is, can they restart the SSRS Windows service? And instead of logging into AX, maybe they're on vacation, you can just open up the app. I can see that the service, maybe it crashed and it was in stop to begin with. That's a common case if it just crashed. I can see that in the app, and I can restart it right from here. And if I was tracking a dozen, 20, 30 plus Windows services, I can search for the particular Windows service I want, just to filter, reduce time I'm spending in the app to get exactly the kind of information that I want to see. Moving on to notifications. So as I talked about at the beginning here, we have all various forms in AX that present the user with important information about their system. The alerts screen, which for people who know the little bell in AX, presents various, if they're getting approvals or various alerts that they have tuned to their own specifications in AX. That same form that shows notifications is represented here in the app. The little blue dot says, I have not read this particular alert. So once again, you see the information that you would see in AX, notification message, what was the source of that information. I can filter this just to show me which messages are unread because that's more important. I can right from the top here go to the other alert, so system exceptions. And so these are sort of the critical things that you might need to know about your AX system. AIF manager, so document handling. This particular app uses the AIF system to bring in and out data. So if something's going wrong with that process for the app, that might show up here. Database log, and these are just log tables that are tracking information out of AX. So if you have a deadlock in your SQL Server instance and you're trying to add new stuff to your customer table or sales table, that kind of information would show here if you've turned on that kind of tracing. SQL trace log, going into the specifics of the SQL statements. Workflow history, email sending status. Again, all these log tables show you important information about AX. Going to the user table. So here I can track what users are in this AOS instance, and from here I can track, so say scenario is you have an employee that has left the company and they were an app user and you don't want them to be able to log into the app anymore. But you're not at your laptop and you normally maybe call someone else to do this, but with the app I can just simply disable the user. Now if this user try logging into the app, just as if they try logging into AX on their end, they wouldn't be able to log in because they're no longer a valid user in the system. Again, I can enable the user. I can also track what security roles are assigned to that user. Here, some information about that security role. I can see any disabled users in the system. And finally, data management. As I said before, simple performance tuning. If I have 1,000 records in the SQL trace log or 10,000 records in the SQL trace log, that could be slowing down my AX. So common complaint among AX users is AX is running way too slow for me. And an area that few people realize is that could be because they have all these log tables filling up with tens of thousands of records, clogging their SQL server and slowing down AX. So I can simply delete this log table. So if I've now cleared all the records from the log, and AX might run smoother, obviously a lot of complexity there and what makes AX run fast or not. And just some other basics of the app. Again, the menu here, I can go to any of these screens that you saw before, from the dashboards to the master list to the actual detail pages. I can actually send an email broadcast out. So as I mentioned before, where a common scenario is you can put the AOS in accepting or draining to bring, to tell people to leave AX to do maintenance. I can actually send a message to all currently logged in users or just all users on that AOS instance. and then send that out. Some settings that we allow the user to configure in terms of how much data they see in the app. Maybe I only want to see the last day, maybe a full month. This just controls how much data is in the app, so it's not a slow experience for you using it. Timeout period. So much like a banking app, we don't want the app to just stay open on your sensitive data forever, so we control how quickly the app times you out if you're inactive, and we can control if you're on AX 2012 R2 or more. If you use data partitions, the app supports partitions. If you're before that, it also supports not using partitions, and you can clear any data that's locally stored on the device using clear data, so you have a fresh interface with none of your sensitive business data on it. And that concludes the demo of AXAdmin. Once again, recap of what's happening there. So foundation for organizations mobile framework. So there's a robust monitoring platform for Microsoft Dynamics AX. We have with the AXAdmin mobile app, we no longer tied to your desk or PC. Get the information you need, take action with ease, and spot system issues whenever your busy schedule takes you. So again, if you're on vacation, we don't want you to be able to not be able to handle critical information when you need to. You don't have to bring your big laptop or desktop PC with you wherever you go. Early insight and performance issues. So again, the whole point of this app is we want you to be able to handle critical problems before they become a major issue, costing your company lots of money. And that's the purpose of this application. And so, once again, value proposition, centralized system health information via dashboards. We want to give you all the critical information that is part of your AX experience at a glance there with those various dashboards. And as Amir talked about at the start, it's all very configurable within AX. And if you have custom modules that make sense for a dashboard, we've made it in such a way that this stuff can be added on fairly easily without a whole lot of overhead. Review, manage, and respond to critical AX system information. So you saw those notifications, batch jobs, and then monitor AX-related Windows services. So again, you can turn on and off AOSs, not the one that the app is connected to, and so handle important Windows services from there. And now, because we have it working, we'll go back to the workflow demo, and Michael will go through that.
So my Active Directory password managed to expire during the demo, which is the first. So I've just reset it. Hopefully we can bring up the workflow app right now. Okay, so let's bring up AX, and let's bring up this. So AX supports multiple approvals in multiple modules. So we want to surface that information to the app. And we want to make sure that the app can support any single approval that you have. So in this example here, we've submitted an approval. And what you can see here is the app is showing some approvals I've got. This pending approvals will match 100% to your work item list. So we've set up approvals for purchase orders, I've got an expense, I've got the timesheet, and we can see here, this is the purchase order requisition number 41 that I've just submitted. So we've got to make sure that we give the approvers the information that they need to approve this. Who requested this? When did they request it? What's the deadline? Are there any attachments? Are there any reports? Is there any information? So we can see here, going in here, this is the list I've got here. So let's take a look. This is the purchase order requisition now that just been asked to approve. But what information do I have? So the first thing I can do is click on the history. I can see who submitted this. In this case, I've set the approval up for multiple approvers. So we can click on this, and we can actually contact. So if I wanted to send an email, I could send an email. If I wanted to call that person, I could go ahead and make a call. I could get information I wanted. So based on that, there may be some attachments that I want to review. There may be a note that somebody's attached. Just go ahead and approve that. There could be a PDF document that maybe you've attached that has some information that I need. So this information that we're seeing here is the document handling attachments to the purchase order requisition. So what we're seeing here in the mobile device is this exact screen right here. So I can take a look. I can take a look at that. I can look at any image. I can get the information I need. But we're aware that you may have a customization or custom information that you want to display on the mobile device. So the first screen that we've got here is the information section. This is configurable from AX. So if you have any custom fields or custom information that you want to put on to give the approver the information that they need to do it. So we have here the information. So in AX, we can go in and we can surface this information. This information is coming from AX, and we can see on the purchase order requisition, I can go in and add either fields or display or edit methods and get that to display on the mobile device. That still might be enough. You might want to see a report. So what we can do from the mobile device is we can run an AX report directly from the mobile device, save that as a PDF document, download that to the mobile device and display that. This here is an AX purchase order requisition directly on there. From there, I can go ahead, I can print that, I can save it, I can do what I want with that. So hopefully now we've given the person the information that they need to take action on this approval. So just like with the work item list, I can approve, reject, or request change. So maybe I want to request a change. Maybe I'm not happy. Maybe I want to send this information back to somebody. Maybe I'm not happy with the price, I'm not happy with the information, maybe there's something. So not approved. And who do I want to send this to? So in this case, I want to send it to somebody. Who is that person? I can search all the AX people in the system. In this case, I'm going to send it to Andrew. And I'm going to send him to request a change. So let's go ahead and request a change. What I can see now in my pending approval is that's gone from the list. If I look at the completed, I can actually see the history of this. And we can see today at 46. This is the information that I had. This is the completed one. I can see the history. I can see that Michael submitted it, 8/14, and then this was sent to Andrew to request a change. That will go back into the workflow. It will go back into AX. And if I take a look here, refresh the screen, I can see the workflow history. And I can see that this is now being sent to Andrew to request a change. Andrew can come in. We have to wait for the AX workflow to refresh. As soon as that's refreshed, let's wait for AX's wonderful workflow. We can go in and request a change for that. Once that's requested a change, we can resubmit that, and we can take a look at that. So we can go in and do that, and that will appear back in the mobile device. So what we can do is any approval in AX, whether it's standard or custom, can be shown here. We have the filter, so you can do the search, we can see the history, and it's the same. We're also showing the any notification you have. In this case, it's created a notification in the AX inbox, and I can see that right now, and I can see that's been returned as well. I can see all or unread. Viewing a message here actually marks that as read. So if I go into AX, I will actually see that as actually read in AX. And there it is. So we can see that that information is being marked as read from Dynamics AX. If you've got a standard workflow or a custom one, if you want to see that or have that shown in the mobile device, it is supported out of the box. And we support change request, approve, reject, and on all of the other tasks in AX, you would see exactly the same. So let's take a look. So it is secure. We do use AX security. You have to be a registered AX user. We do use SAML and ACS authentication. We use biometric authentication on the iPhone as well. You will get push notifications, badge counts, and a notification on the iPhone when you do receive something for approval. So in this case here, you will see what we have here. You can click on that. It will open the app. If my Active Directory account hadn't expired, that would have worked. It will come in. It will bring that in and show you that. So clicking on that will launch the app. The information is configurable. We know a mobile device, you have very limited real estate. So we support document handling attachments. They can be displayed to the app, notes, images, PDF documents. We support configurable information. So you can go into AX and configure what is displayed on the mobile. But more importantly is that you have a lot of information you want to see on the app. You can just run an AX report directly from the app. That will be downloaded to the app, very quick period of time into the app, and then you can zoom in, print, email, have a look at that information. Once you've got information, you can then take action. So all approvals, even custom ones, it's very easy to see the chain, and that's something that's difficult in AX. If you get an approval, you'll know, well, who sent me this, and how far am I in the chain? How long have I got to approve this? You can see that screen from AX. It can be very difficult to see that information. So just going into here, you've got to go in and you've got to take a look, and you've got to go here and you've got to click on here. It can be very difficult to see that information in a nice, easy format. So what we've got in our history here is you can actually see that information. So I can actually go in, I can see the history for information, things like that. And not only that is I can take action. So if I want to call somebody, I can just click on that information. I can call or email that person. So in this case, my phone number is set up. I can click on that information and I can make a phone call. In that case, it's going to call me. If I wanted to send an email, I click on the email and it would ask me for my email. So from here, I can easily take action, get the information I want, call the people that I'm supposed to be approving this for, and get them that information. Very secure, performing is very, very quick to perform. You can see the performance on the iPhone here, super quick. The idea is this framework we can build on, so that if you come along with your workflow, your existing workflow, maybe it's custom, maybe you've got some custom information you want to display on here, then we would just go in and add that information. And then we would see that information either on the information section, or if you wanted to customize an AX report, maybe you customize your purchase order requisition. We have that information on that. So we can see this information here is coming directly from AX, from the setup. If I wanted to move something down or move something up, if I wanted the comment, I don't know, to be at the top, we'll go into my information, refresh the screen, we'll go into a requisition, we'll see the information, and hopefully now my comment is now at the top. So I apologize if that's not working, but my Active Directory account is now unlocked, so we can use the app. So it is secure. It will not let you use the app if you're not in Active Directory and a registered user. It will simply not allow you to use the app.
Thank you, everybody. And I hand it off. Forward back to here.
Thank you guys, very, very informative. Just want to confirm everyone can hear me coming off of mute.
We do.
Yep, great. So we just wanted to briefly touch upon a customer of ours, New Sunshine, who has had success with the app. They're a manufacturer and supplier of tanning equipment and technology. You may have seen the brand in the local stores. They do everything. They really had requirements around the IT management perspective. They wanted remote management of AX from the standpoint of controlling AOS servers, and then they also wanted to run a lot of batch jobs, figure out where the bottlenecks were on the batch jobs, if they were somehow queued, and to push them through. And they also wanted to view the user access that Andrew had touched upon. So they were a perfect candidate for AXAdmin, and we were able to get that into their infrastructure, and they received a lot of ROI from the management perspective as a result of it. So wanted to highlight them for you guys. And then I also see that there's a couple partners here, so just wanted to let you know that there are opportunities here for you guys to join up on our partner reseller program. And as you can see, we have multiple tiers to this. If you are interested, you can refer someone over. You can actually do the pre-sales portions of the products to your clients, or you can do full service sales all the way through to the implementation of the product. And if you are interested, you can reach out to us. We can tell you more about our partner program. And then we have our contact information provided in the last slide. So we can jump over to that, Andrew. Info@AXMentor.com if you're interested in anything from a trial of our products through our partner program, or if you do have any kind of questions that may surface afterwards at the tail end of this webcast, you can reach out to us directly. And I think we can open it up at this point to any questions from the audience.
All right, so at this point, yeah, please do enter your questions if you haven't already. We have a few here to start us off. So the first question, Amir, does the workflow app support custom-made approvals?
Sure. Andrew, do you want to address this one? I think you may be muted still.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, can hear you now.
All right, so good question. Custom-made approvals. So I have the workflow app open here. As Michael was saying, we support all approvals as they appear within the AX sort of list here. So if it's a so if any approval that would show up under this list, expands timesheet, maybe you have a custom module for handling some kind of manufacturing sector workflow approval process, all that would show up in this list, and anything that shows up in this list is represented in the app here. So yeah, we do support any custom-made approvals. And what information you see for that approval, as Michael talked about before, is configurable from AX, and what order that information appears is all configurable. So you'd be able to get all the important information about that custom workflow, just as you can all these out-of-the-box ones.
All right, next question I see here, our AX implementation has third-party Windows service integration. Can the admin app control those Windows services?
So question, can third-party integration Windows services be controlled from the app? Answer is, much like the Windows, much like the workflow application with custom approvals, yes, any Windows services as they appear on your machine. So for example here, this particular Windows server is not what the admin app is connected to, but just to show a quick example of the services. So if anyone is familiar with Windows, you might see the various Windows services here on your particular instance. The AOS appears here, Microsoft Dynamics AX Object Server, your reporting services here, any other custom third-party ones would appear in this list. In AX, we have a form that lets you enter those services in, and once they're in AX, and you grant whatever users from the app access to be able to see them and be able to start and stop those services, they show up in the application. So yes, any custom Windows services from third parties will show up here if they're added to in AX. And we didn't want to just give users like carte blanche, like every Windows service from the operating system, because a lot of these are critical operating system services, and it's not important to see that in the app. Next question.
All right, so the next question is, can we change the batch job status from the admin app?
So can we change the batch job status from the application? If I view any given batch job, I can see here the status underlined in red. So this one's waiting. And so much like in AX, how you can change the batch job status from the batch job form, and there's only specific statuses that are allowed to change to, we support that kind of workflow within the app. So common scenario is a batch job has aired out and I want to rerun the batch job. I can put this into waiting. So the next time this particular batch job does its recurrence, if this is a recurring batch job, it will run again, and that hopefully whatever error triggered before will be solved, and then it will run. So common scenario there. But yes, we support changing the status of the batch job.
Okay, just looking for the next question here. We've got a couple more, so if you have any, this would be a great time to get it into the list. Can the admin apps start and stop AOSs on different servers?
Sure. So can the admin apps start and stop AOSs on different servers? Answer to that is yes. So in AX, there is a form that lets you enter in various Windows services, and first it asks you to enter in the server that you're trying to add the Windows services from. So this particular server, we give you these list of Windows services, but I could enter in any other server as long as it's findable via the corporate network, and then a populated list of Windows services would appear. And then obviously you don't want to start and stop the AOS that the app is connected to. But if you want to add AOSs, maybe you have 3 AOSs on that server, and you want to stop the batch server AOS because batch jobs are running slowly, or maybe a batch job crashed the AOS that's handling batch jobs. So from the admin app, you can actually start and stop as long as it's added those other AOSs. And as long as those other servers have permission for the app to be able to check, then yes, you can do all that same functionality from the app. And you can also drain the AOS that you're working on. So it stops users from being able to log on to that AOS.
All right, question here, can our custom AX modules be incorporated into the applications?
Yeah, so can custom modules be incorporated into the admin app? So we've built the admin app to use a very flexible structure in terms of an AIF service to a middle tier connector which just handles messaging back and forth to the iOS part with these dashboard master lists and the detail pages. We've designed it in such a way that if you had say a completely new IT module that maybe handles any of these things that you've seen in a different way or new information, we've built it so we can do that kind of changes to the admin app. And Michael had some words to say on that as well.
And this is a great question. That's one of the limitations with Microsoft's apps. You cannot customize them. If you put an app on the public app stores, you can't easily rebrand that, put your own customizations on that, your own feature set, maybe an ISV solution, you want to put some data into here, maybe a custom integration, a custom EDI solution, you want to see the status of that, any inbound or outbound documents. With the mobility framework we've got, you can have a lot more control into that. We can deploy these apps into what's called a private B2B store. So we can put, if you wanted, your logo, your branding, and we can create a general app like this admin app and branch this off and tailor this for you. So if you wanted another module in here, maybe your EDI module, we can actually create that for you very easily. What we've done is AX is, like Andrew was saying, it connects to a middle tier service, and that's using JSON. So we can go into AX, we can create our own endpoints, expose that information as a JSON string through the middle tier to the app. So it makes it very, very quick to make a customization in AX and get that to the app. But the real benefit is putting this in a private B2B store. Then you can have your branding, your logo, your customizations. You can control who gets that app, who doesn't get that app. And that's one of the key differences between, if you look at a public app, you're bound to that app. If you want something exposed or something changed, it's very, very difficult to do.
All right. Question asking, what is the messaging platform? Are you using anything like Azure Service Bus?
So we're using, that's a great question. So we've built this for security in mind. So to expose AX information securely, we're using the Azure Service Bus. And for push notifications, we're using the notification hubs. The endpoints that are middle tier connector are secure. You do require a sample ACS token to get that token information and to get that AX principal name to log into AX. So the workflow would be AIF is talking to a local connector. It's a Windows service that runs. That Windows service is creating a secure connection to the Azure Service Bus, and then that Azure Service Bus is connected to the app. And the good thing about that is we can scale. We could have multiple service hubs in different locations. Maybe you had a West Coast and an East Coast. Maybe you have multiple AOSs. You can scale our connector so that one connector goes to one AOS to one service bus, another AOS goes to another connector to another one. So you can scale out, you can scale up with this design.
Okay, we have one more question here. I know we're at the top of the hour. Just asking how much overhead there is for maintaining these apps internally.
So if we take a look at the workflow, this is a very good example. We would install this as a model. There's virtually no overlayering. If you wanted to modify an AX report to see if you get an AX report, then you might want to overlay the AIF document classes, and these reports are bound to what's called an AIF document class. So it's a very small model. It's just a small label file and model. But for example, the push notifications, one thing we didn't want to do is handle certificates in AX. To send a push notification either to any of the mobile devices, you need to have a local certificate. They can expire. You may need to install those on multiple AOSs and manage that. And we didn't want to have to put that management constraint with the app. So by using the notification hubs in Azure, we actually take the app certificate and upload it to the Azure notification hub. And the benefit of that is we don't need to manage those certificates and AOSs and installing them and going through that. So the module itself is very light. If I take a look at the module in terms of the setup, we really have one screen. And this is really it. We have we have a title, so if you wanted prod or pre-prod. We have a little bit of performance to stop the app from downloading. If you had 100,000 alerts in one day, we can put some limits on that. We can control which workflows or which approvals appear on the app. We can just enable and disable them, so we do have some security. We have the permissions. The permissions here, we can say who can use the app. So you may have people looking log into AX, but they may not be able to use the app. And then we have our remote notification. This one here has the connection string for reading information as well as sending push notifications from AX. So that's really it. It's a very, very lightweight. We have one AIF service, and the AIF is one AIF service within one AIF service group. So if you look at the inbound AIF inbound port, it's one. So the admin app could actually start, if you had both installed, the admin app could actually see the status of the workflow app itself, and that you would see that in the inbound port in AIF. So it's very small, very lightweight. AX has been designed to output what's called the JSON string, and we're using the Newtonsoft JSON formatter, so that if you wanted a custom field, we can actually change that JSON string without having to modify the connector. And that's also a real benefit of rapid development and rapid customization. Is the connector is what's called, it's not strongly typed, so it just accepts the JSON string and passes that on to the Azure Service Bus and to the mobile device.
All right, thank you, Michael. I want to remind the folks in the audience that we do have a very brief survey that will pop up after the session ends today. I see we're at the end of our question queue. Any feedback you can provide is greatly appreciated, both to our presenters and to myself. I always like to see what your experience was like in these events. And with that, I think we're going to begin wrapping up. So Amir, thank you to you and Andrew and Michael for presenting today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Take care,
All right.
everybody.
We have recorded today's event. We'll be making that available, sharing those additional details soon. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's event. Have a great day.